And we're back at it again with another YouTube video. So today we are going to be making macarons, a French dessert. And yeah, so we're making macarons. I don't know what color we're gonna make, so stay tuned till the end. But I've kind of already started because I was like, I didn't want to do some of them, and yeah, I didn't want to record, but now I'm recording. So I already have the eggs, a pinch of salt, and the egg whites, a pinch of salt, and a 1/4 cup of sugar. But I'm adding it in a third at a time. So yeah, that's what I have in the mixing bowl. So now we're just gonna get into it. So now I'm just sifting the almond flour and the powdered sugar, and I used 1 whole cup of almond flour, and I only divided it into halves because it's easier to put in the sifter instead of the 1 big cup of almond flour. So here's that. So right now I'm just showing you guys the egg mixture and the powder mixture, and it's obviously not working, but I'm going to mix those together halfway. Like, I'm going to pour all of the powder in it and mix it up halfway, and then I'm going to separate them to color them. So the first color that I chose was a blue, and it looks dark on there, but it turned into a kind of light blue, and so yeah. The second color that I chose was a burgundy, but it turned into a pretty light pink, and now I'm going to show you guys piping it out. Hey guys, so I moved over here to the counter area so that I can pipe out the macarons onto the piping sheet. This is the parchment paper that I'm using. It is from Wilton, so they make baking things and they specialize in baking things. So I'm using their parchment paper, which is pre-cut into like separate parchment paper widths, and I'm using this silver pan from A-Smart. So yeah, they're like a restaurant place. But yeah, I am doing the pink first, and then I'm going to do the blue. And for the piping tip, I'm using 2 different piping tips because I don't have the same size piping tips. So I'm using Wilton's number 2A, and well, Wilton's piping tip 2A, which is the larger circle one. So I'm just going, the way that I figure out how large to cut the hole, I do a circle around the, well, like end part of the tip with my scissors, and then I push the piping tip back up and I actually cut it through the piping bag. So yeah, and then it's the perfect fit piping bag. And then I use a tall cup, and I put it into it, I twist it, and I put it into the cup, and then I open it, and I put the batter into the piping bag. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to pipe it out. So now that I am done putting the pink macarons, well, batter into a piping bag made by Cake Meat, I'm going to close it, and then twist it so that none of it can leak out of the top, but instead it leaks out the bottom. So you're going to want to hurry up after you're done. And now I'm going to pipe it onto my parchment paper. So now that I'm done piping them out, I do realize they're not all the same size, but they equal out, and because not all of them are the same size, they match up with some other ones that are the same size as them. So now that I'm done piping them all out, I am going to hit them on the counter. It's a very important part because it gets all the tiny air bubbles out of the macarons, and you want them to go to the bottom instead of the top so that they can get the pedillas that they're supposed to get, which are the feet at the bottom. They're like this big. And yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, and then I'm going to pipe the blue ones. So now that I'm done filling the piping bag, I'm going to get my second sheet of parchment paper and put it onto my second pan and do the same thing that I already did. It is a smaller pan, so I'm going to have to cut the parchment paper a little to fit exactly into the pan instead of having it like roll up and mess up the bottoms of the macarons. So now that I'm done piping out the blue and the red, and the pink macarons, I'm gonna let them sit for an hour, 30 minutes to an hour. And then I'm going to put them in the oven at 300 for 17 minutes, and then I will come back when that's all done. So I actually bang them on the counter so that the air bubbles could come out, and so that we could get perfect pedillas, and so the top could dry without any cracks in it. But sometimes there's bigger air bubbles that don't come up as fast, so you can get a toothpick or something sharp. They have like the professional ones, it's like metal and it's just like a toothpick. But you can get a toothpick and just pop the small bubbles and cover it back up with the surrounding macaron. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do now. So I realized that if you let your eggs actually sit until it's room temperature, then it dries out faster, and so you wouldn't have to wait an hour. So now that the pink ones are in the oven, I have it on the setting where it's heating at the top, the bottom, and the fan is on. So yeah, I'm going to wait 17 minutes until it is done, and I don't use the timer on the actual oven because I don't trust it. So I'm going to set a timer for 17 minutes and I'll come back. So now that these beautiful, perfect macarons are done, I'm going to put them on a cooling rack, and I'm going to wait for the oven to cool so that I won't burn the blue ones because the oven would be too hot if I put them in right now. So yeah, I'm going to wait for the oven to cool and let these cool on the actual baking pan for 5 minutes, and then take it off and let it cool off of the baking pan on the cooling rack for 10 minutes. So yeah. So these are the beautiful, perfect macarons. So yeah, I'm gonna let them cool and then I will take them off the parchment paper. I have just finished taking out the blue ones and the pink ones, and they are both perfect, period. But yeah, I'm going to take them off. I'm gonna wait 15 minutes to take them off the parchment paper so they don't crack when I'm taking them off, and then I'm going to take pictures and put them in the video, so that's what you're gonna see.